In this video we are going to talk about famous Bordeaux 1855 classification. So before starting this video, like this video and subscribe to our channel for future updates. At the 1855 Exposition Universelle de Paris, Emperor Napoleon III requested a classification system for the best Bordeaux wines that were to be displayed for guests from all over the world. This request led to the creation of the Bordeaux Wine Official Classification of 1855. The reputation of a chateau and its trading price, which at the time was directly related to quality, were taken into consideration by brokers working in the wine industry to determine the ranking of the wines. First growths were the most prestigious, followed by second, third, fourth, and fifth growths, crus. With the exception of Chateau Haut-Brion, which hails from the Graves region, all of the red wines that made the list were produced in the Médoc region. The sweet varieties of Sauternes and Fronsac were the only white wines that were produced at the time, and they were ranked only from superior first growth to second growth. Red wine was considered to be of much greater significance than white wine. In the year 1855, Napoleon III, the Emperor of France, made the decision to hold a Universal Exposition in Paris. This event was similar to a World's Fair, and Napoleon III desired for all of France's wines to be exhibited there. He submitted a request to the Chamber of Commerce in Bordeaux to set up an exhibition. Because the individuals in the assembly recognized a hornet's nest when they saw one, they decided against taking the risk. According to their records, they agreed to present all of our cruise classes up to the fifth growths, but they requested that an organization of wine merchants called the Syndicate of Courtiers create an exact and complete list of all the red wines of the Gironde that specifies in which class they belong. The courtiers hardly even took a moment to think before handing in the famous list 2 weeks after they had first created it. It consisted of 58 chateaus, 4 of which were classified as first growth, 12 as second, 14 as third, 11 as fourth, and 17 as fifth. They were prepared for contentious debate. You know just as well as we do, sirs, that this classification is a delicate task and bound to raise questions. Remember that we have not tried to create an official ranking, but rather to offer you a sketch drawn from the very best sources. You know just as well as we do, sirs, that this classification is a delicate task and bound to raise questions. Surprisingly, with the sole exception of the Haut-Brion, all of the courtiers' selections originated from the Médoc region. They also ranked the sweet white wines of Sauternes and Fronsac. It's not that other wine regions weren't active. The Graves boasted a much longer history, and by the early 19th century, Cheval Blanc and Esté-Emilion and Canon in Fronsac were highly regarded. But the Médoc was where the revolution in wine quality that began in the 18th century took root first and most firmly. The classification drew a heated response from everyone. The original list that the courtiers compiled ranked the chateaus according to their quality within their respective classes. For instance, Mouton Rothschild was placed at the head of the seconds. However, undoubtedly in response to criticism, they wrote to the chamber at the beginning of September insisting that such a hierarchy had not been intended, and as a result, the chamber rearranged the list of each class into alphabetical order. Since 1855, there have been many shifts in the names of the chateaus, as well as their owners, vineyards, and the quality of their wines. As a result of these shifts, as well as divisions in the original estates, there are now 61 chateaus on the list. However, an estate's claim to cru class status is maintained if it is possible to trace the estate's lineage back to the classification. The only official change was made in 1973, when Baron Philippe de Rothschild finally achieved his goal of having Mouton classified as a first-growth wine after tirelessly working toward this goal for half a century. Within each category, the different chateaus are ranked in order of quality, and only twice since the 1855 classification has there been a change. First, when in 1856 Cantemerle was added as a fifth growth, having either been originally omitted by oversight or added as an afterthought, depending on which of the conflicting accounts is correct, and, more significantly, in 1973, when Chateau Mouton Rothschild was elevated from a second growth to a first growth vineyard after dredging the removal of Chateau d'Aubignon, a third growth from Margaux that was absorbed into the estate Chateau Maillescot Saint-Exupéry, is the third change, although it is one of the least well-known of the three. Since 1855, when only 5 of the estates were styled with the word chateau in their name, the majority of Bordeaux wine estates now use this nomenclature. This is a change that can be considered a superficial change. The actual vineyards that are owned by some wineries have expanded, shrunk, and been divided without any reclassification, and considerable plots of valuable terroir have changed ownership. This is true even though the classification of chateaus has remained the same. The fact that a vineyard parcel is eligible to be used by any chateau in Bordeaux, regardless of the quality of the parcel itself, so long as it lies within the boundaries of the wine commune, is a quirk of the Bordeaux region. In fact, this is one of the characteristics that sets Bordeaux apart from other wine regions. It has been argued by a significant number of wine critics that the 1855 classification has become out of date and does not offer an accurate guide to the quality of the wines that are being produced on each estate. A number of suggestions have been made for alterations to the classification, and in 1960, an attempt was made to submit a bid for a revision, but it was not successful. Alexis Liking, a member of the 1960 revision panel, launched a campaign to implement changes that lasted over 30 years. In the process of doing so, he published several editions of his own unofficial classification as well as the Alexis Liking's Guide to the Wines and Vineyards of France, in which he devoted a chapter to the subject. This campaign to implement changes lasted for more than 30 years. Chateau Lynch-Bages, the Pauillac fifth growth, produces wines that, in Liking's opinion, are deserving of a much higher classification. This is because the winery practices good management and patiently collects the best parcels as they become available on the market. As an example of this, Liking cited the case of Chateau Lynch-Bages to support his argument. On the other hand, ineffective management can result in a significant drop in quality, as the case of Chateau Margaux demonstrates. The wines that it produced in the 1960s and 1970s are generally regarded as falling far short of what is anticipated of a first growth. Other critics, such as Robert Parker, who published a list of the top 100 Bordeaux estates in 1985, and L'Histoire de la Vigne and Amp, du Vin, English, The History of Wine and the Vine, by Bernard and Henri Engelbert in 1989, as well as the work done by Clive Coates, M.W., and David Peppercorn, have followed in Robert Parker's footsteps. In the end, nothing came of them. The likely negative impact on prices for any downgraded chateaus and the political muscle of the 1855 establishment are considered to be among the reasons. The Livex Bordeaux classification was published by the British wine exchange Livex in March 2009. This classification is a contemporary recalculation of the 1855 classification, and its primary objective is to adapt the original method to the economic climate of the present day. Many of the leading estates from the Médoc appellation that were not included in the 1855 classification are classified as Cru Bourgeois, a classification system that has been updated on a regular basis since 1932, banned in 2007, but reinstated in 2010. What do you think about this video? Do let us know in the comments section below. If you want to hear from us again, make sure to hit that subscribe button before you go.